Back in 2019, just a few weeks after Special Counsel Robert Mueller's report was released, Donald Trump decided that he wanted to have an investigation of his own. He'd been reading stuff on 4chan and it seemed very plausible. And so he decided to have some of his goons look into some of these things that were going around. Egged on by Trump, Attorney General William Barr, who, remember, was just a few weeks out from putting out his letter before the Mueller report came out that lied about its contents and was eaten up by conspiracy theorists online, turned to a hard-nosed prosecutor named John Durham and later granted him special counsel status to carry on after Mr. Trump left office. And so the idea that they were investigating was this theory that there was some sort of massive conspiracy, a deep state thing, a Q thing, I don't know, where the investigation of Donald Trump was being driven by, that they were breaking the rules in their investigation, they were ignoring inconvenient facts, doing whatever was necessary to get Donald Trump. And so they decided to investigate those people, and as new reporting is coming out and revealing, they ended up doing all of those things that they were accusing the other side of, and thus far, 4 years later, have come up with diddly squat when it comes to their investigation. So it's been 4 years. It was actually longer than the Russia investigation that spawned it. Mr. Durham's work is coming to an end without uncovering anything like the original deep state plot that was alleged. So the New York Times did interviews with more than a dozen current and former officials, revealing how an array of previously unreported episodes that show how the Durham inquiry became roiled by internal dissent and ethical disputes as it went unsuccessfully down one conspiratorial path after another. And along the way, understanding that they had close contact with this guy and he was coming up with absolutely nothing, both Donald Trump and William Barr kept pretending that there was something there, which led to endless monologues by Sean Hannity about how the other shoe was about to drop and all of that, but they found nothing. So what are some examples of these episodes that we hadn't previously known about? Well, Mr. Barr and Mr. Durham have never disclosed that their inquiry expanded back in the fall of 2019 based on a tip from Italian officials to include a criminal investigation into suspicious financial dealings related to Mr. Trump. That's interesting, spicy even, but the specifics of the tip and how they handled the investigation remain unclear. Mr. Durham has brought no charges over it, and one has to wonder if he did come across something, would he reveal it? Would he investigate it based on what the origin of their investigation was? You can feel free to believe that for some reason. Also, Mr. Durham used Russian intelligence memos that were suspected by other US officials of containing disinformation to gain access to emails of an aide to George Soros, the financier and philanthropist who is a favorite target of the American right and Russian state media. Mr. Durham used grand jury powers to keep pursuing the emails even after a judge twice rejected his request for access to them. In the end, the emails yielded no evidence that Mr. Durham has cited in any case he pursued. We've got a couple of other spicy little elements of this, but I think that that's enough to get this conversation started. What do you both think about this?
Yeah, so it turns out they were wrong about everything. They said, oh, it's the deep state, and it's gonna be, Trump said many times, the worst thing that's ever happened in America. Like, he almost literally said that, right? And so they investigated the FBI. Good news, Department of Justice, they have access to the FBI. They looked through all of it. Turns out, no, there was no political motivation. They found not one shred of evidence about it, nothing. Because you know why? It wasn't a political investigation. It was started by an Australian diplomat saying, I talked to somebody on Trump's team, and which was true. And he seemed to know about that Russia had the emails before it was public. And so the FBI is like, oh, how did he know before it was public? And so that's part of the reason that they started an investigation. Perfectly legitimate. Every judge that looked at it thought it was perfectly legitimate. They looked through all of the FBI's information, nothing to indicate that it was political or anti-Trump. Then they looked at the CIA. Nothing to indicate that the CIA had done anything against Donald Trump. And these guys, Durham and there's an expert quoted in the New York Times saying that they had worked with Durham and Barr earlier in their careers, and they were serious, legitimate prosecutors that were, non-lunatics, let's put it that way. And he was quoted as saying, I don't know when they drank the Kool-Aid, but this is so weird. This is that none of what there's like, none of it is true. None of it is close to true. But by the way, now that the Durham report, which was supposed to be, it's gonna show Hillary Clinton and the FBI and the CIA all worked, blah, 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 blah. Now that it's been proven that No, none of that was shown. There was no evidence of it. And even Barr and Durham, enormous goddamn liars, okay, and I've got some of their lies for you here. They come out and like, oops, I guess it didn't happen. Not one right-winger will be convinced of it. They will just go back and go, who cares? We didn't have any evidence that Trump won the election. We didn't have any evidence of a pedophile ring. We didn't have any evidence of anything. It doesn't matter. We're gonna say it was the deep state anyway, because Republicans don't believe in facts.
You know, the Durham grand jury that he had actually had impaneled, it disbanded, I think 3 or 4 months ago. So effectively at that point, he lost any authority to subpoena anybody, to issue any criminal charges. Like the grand jury, again, they've been gone for months, yet for some reason, Durham is still technically in this position. He's still on the payroll. Why has Merrick Garland not come out and said, hey bud, I don't know if you realize this, but you're done. You can go. We don't need you here. So that's a big question I still have about all of this. Like, why is he still doing this when we know it's over? And he knows it's over. The second question is, how dang corrupt do you have to be when your own people go over to Italy, beg these officials, hey, I need you to help us discredit this, and instead they're like, yeah, we've got some things here that probably show some financial crimes by your guy. So instead of helping you, we're gonna tell you that the guy that hired you is probably a criminal. And the report says that Durham and Barr didn't want to do it, but they both felt this tip from the Italian officials was so credible that they had no choice. So again, little weird. We don't know what they did with it. We don't know if they did anything with it. They swore they would, but they thought it was credible, even though they were actually there to get information to discredit Mueller. Totally wild chain of events that happened there.
Yeah, I want to pick up on what Farron said, because Barr and Durham at this point have drank the Kool-Aid when the Italians tell them this is a financial crime and here's the evidence of Trump's financial crime. And they don't want to see anything like that. They had to come for the opposite reason, as Farron just explained. And they're like, whoa, that's really bad, okay? And that's the only real criminal investigation that comes out, except we don't know what happened with it. So to Farron's point, Merrick Garland, what are you doing? What, are you just gonna let him bury it for years? Apparently, there was such overwhelming evidence that even Barr and Durham were like, oh, yeah, Trump might have committed financial crimes. You wanna get on it? No, he's, oh yeah, probably in the 3rd term or something, we'll get on it. Yeah. The Democrats are so pathetically weak. It's just unbearable. Meanwhile, I found the quote from Trump. He said about the deep state and the FBI, et cetera, framing him and working together for the Russia hoax. This exact Durham investigation, he said, quote, it is the single biggest political crime in the history of our country.
I've heard Sean Hannity say that many times. I've heard Tucker Carlson say that. In their defense, they have said that same thing about many, many different things. It's hard to keep track of all of the things that are the worst crime ever. I would love to find out what was going on in Italy. It makes one wonder. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, admittedly. I'll leave that to Farron. Can nobody else look into it? Like, do we just have to wait for Durham? Like, I feel like Merrick Garland could hop a flight to Rome, ask a few questions. Is that illegal? Is it like a double jeopardy thing? Only one person gets to look into a time. I don't understand it. As to your first question about what he's still doing after they've disbanded the grand jury, it's just nice to have a hobby, And he probably doesn't want to have to pack up his office, so he's just gonna stick it out for as long as he can. I understand it, a rough job market. But to really demonstrate, I think, how little there was to their big conspiracy theory, I'm actually gonna use a piece of evidence that's gonna seem weird at first. It's the one thing that they did find. So here's what they found. I'm gonna jump ahead of the last graphic. Durham's only charge so far against a government official was back in 2020. It stemmed from a referral made by Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz, who found that an FBI attorney had altered an email when trying to get a sign off on a 4th round of FISA surveillance on Trump campaign aide Carter Page. The attorney, Kevin Kleinsmith, pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 12 months of probation. But the judge in his case concluded he didn't have political motives and was instead engaged in bureaucratic corner cutting. He knew that he could get it, he didn't want to go through it, so he just did the thing himself. So that's illegal. It should be illegal. He should do time for it. This is the FBI, the CIA, all of these groups who I think we can all agree have not been averse to breaking the law in the past or having ideological motives for what they do. And after 4 years of investigating, all you found was a guy who faked a signature to save himself some time. How do you not accidentally stumble across more corruption, malfeasance, crimes in the CIA and the FBI? This is the biggest issue for Trump, is that he has always and forever been surrounded by utter incompetence, who even in a place utterly ripe with criminal activity and corruption, all that, they can't even accidentally come across anything. Any final thoughts, Cenk?
Yeah, so now Barr is finally turned on Trump because Trump, apparently he had a limit, right? And Trump was like, okay, now Barr this entire time is telling Durham, go get him. They're having steak dinners together. They're getting drunk together. This is all in the story, right? And Barr is going out on TV, and they have quotes from him in the New York Times story where he's like, this is all worse than we expected. Boy, wait till you find out what's in the Durham report. Even though he knows there's no evidence at all, okay? These guys are the worst people on earth. But even Barr, when Trump said after the 2020 election, why don't you just make up that we won the election? Barr was like, well, that seems a bit much, right? Like, then we might all go to prison because that's kind of a coup. And then he finally realized, oh, okay, Trump's a bad guy. You don't say, Bill, you don't say. But the reason I tell you that is, because MSNBC is going to try to rehabilitate Barr's reputation any second now, okay? Don't believe the hype. Barr and Durham are terrible people, okay? And so nothing should resuscitate Barr's reputation, despite the fact that at the last second he didn't agree with Trump. Yeah. Oh yeah, we should destroy America together.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, I like to look at John Durham at this point. He's basically Milton from Office Space. Like, you were basically let go a long time ago because you don't have a job to do anymore, but due to a glitch, you're just still getting paid for this. So maybe it's time for Merrick Garland to be like, you know what, we're gonna fix the glitch. You can stay here if you want, but you're not gonna get a piece of birthday cake. You're not gonna get a paycheck. It's really time for you to go. But on your way out, Merrick Garland needs to ask him, like, by the way, can I just have those documents that those Italian officials gave to you? I just need to look at them real quick, just to see if I need to go get Jack Smith to go down another tunnel to investigate Trump further. I mean, yeah. I almost hate to say we need another investigation because there's about 1 million of them happening, but when you have foreign officials coming to your Department of Justice saying, yeah, your guy did some crimes, could you fix this? That seems pretty credible. Seems like something we ought to be pursuing at this point.
Durham's last words in the office are going to be, "That's my stapler."
Durham doesn't like salt on the rim, big grains of salt.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.